Welcome once again to one of our ESPN FC Facebook Lives. We've been doing these throughout the World Cup. Stuart Robson is back, and what a time for him to be back. England, Stuart Robson, yes, believe it, into their first World Cup semi-final since, my lifetime.
1990.
Exactly, my lifetime. That's 28 years. So the belief is there. They beat Sweden today 2-0. Some would have expected this result, so we know that we have a lot of questions coming from you guys. A lot of, is it coming home questions, I'm sure will be coming in. So feel free to send them and I'll get Stuart to tackle them. But first, Stu, now, let's just break down that game. It was quite a nice, controlled, good performance from England.
It was. I mean, in the first half, I thought as you said, they controlled the game, both with the ball and without the ball. I couldn't see where Sweden were going to cause too many problems. I thought the back three defended well enough. Walker with his pace, read danger when there was a couple of balls over the top. John Stones could go and drop deeper almost as a sweeper at times. Then he could step into midfield. Maguire won most things in the air and defended well down that left-hand side. Trippier was the player that was able to get forward down the right-hand side. He did well and got more crosses into the box. I wouldn't say that Lingard and Dele Alli had their best games, nor did Henderson in that first half. But defensively, they won the ball back in the right sort of areas. And if you defend well all around the field and the opposition aren't going to cause you too many problems, you're going to be in control of the game. Harry Kane wasn't his best, but Sterling found spaces coming short. Then he ran in behind, so that was a good bit of play from him. And overall, England were the better team by quite some distance.
Well, I have to ask you to rate some of the players because, like, you named a couple, and I just saw, on social media, of course, a lot of people saying who their man of the match could be. I mean, a lot of people said Trippier, but Jordan Pickford. We have to go there. I know it's not Shaka Hislop here with us to get into goalie conversations, but just amazing stuff from him.
So we were talking about the first half. And Jordan Pickford had nothing really to do.
Exactly.
But in the second half, when Sweden came out and they got more crosses into the box, they threatened more, they were more expansive without playing particularly well, Jordan Pickford made I would say two outstanding saves and a regulation save. The one from Berg's header just after half-time was a brilliant save. Not quite as good as Gordon Banks in 1970, but getting along that sort of way.
I wasn't around in that time, Stu.
Yeah, well, okay. You must have seen it.
Jordan Pickford could be my Gordon Banks now.
Yes, exactly. And then the next one was a good shot, low shot, which he got a big, strong hand to. And what people don't give him credit for is the rebound. He got out very quickly and got was there with Henderson for the rebound. And the last one he tipped over the bar. So Pickford looks to be playing with great confidence. He's a good kicker of the ball and he's made three very good saves. So that augurs well for England going forward.
Well, Everton might be wanting to hang on to him extra tight after this World Cup, that's for sure.
Well, we were talking, saying maybe Liverpool are looking for a goalkeeper.
Maybe Liverpool are looking for a goalkeeper.
Well, they are looking for a goalkeeper. Would they go across the road to get an Everton goalkeeper? Or would he be allowed to go?
That's it, exactly. Yeah. It's a bit saucy, but it happens in rivals.
I'm sure we're going to get Everton supporters now.
Exactly.
About that.
Luckily, we're only going to take the nice questions now. So we have this one from Sackett. He says, should Rashford start before Sterling now? Because we have been seeing Raheem Sterling and a lot of people not too impressed with what he's been doing so far and questioning whether he should be dropped for the semi-final game. How do you see it?
I thought his movement was good today. I mean, he got in behind a couple of times and didn't take his chances.
So where's he just falling short for you?
It's his end product. That's the problem with him. But I think the movement that he's got and the intelligence he's showing coming short when there's space to come short and linking up the play, making runs in behind, is helping Harry Kane. He didn't have his best game, Harry Kane. I think he looked tired today. But in other games, he's helped Harry Kane because he can link up the play with Sterling. He doesn't always have to make the runs in behind because Sterling can do that with his pace. So at the moment, I would stick with Sterling. And it could be that after 70 minutes, Rashford then comes on with his pace and his... I would say he's inconsistent with his understanding of the game, Rashford.
How so?
I don't think he always makes the right decisions.
Okay.
Sometimes that is obviously not good for him and the team, but sometimes the opposition don't quite know what he's going to do. And when he starts running with the ball, he might bump it off a couple of players, he might bundle his way through and go and score a goal, which is great. But he's a player that can frustrate, as Sterling can frustrate, because he doesn't always make the right decisions or find that final pass.
All right, well, a lot of people seem to be asking, what do you make of Jesse Lingard in midfield? He seems to always find open spaces.
He does, because it's a good system that England are playing. It's a positive system because you've got Henderson at the bottom of those midfield three and you've got two other players making forward runs. So it's almost, at times, they've got a front five, England. Or even a front six when Trippier's high on one side and Ashley Young's high on the other side. You've got a front two and then two midfield players making forward runs. It's very much how Juventus played when they were dominating under Conte and a little bit under Allegri, where you've got two midfield players that can make forward runs. He has to do the offensive side of the game because he's a good athlete, and so is Dele Alli. Good athletes, they can get back and they can get forward. So I've got no problem with the position that he's playing. He just didn't play at his very best today.
All right, well, I'm sure that there's celebrations all over England right now, so we probably don't have any viewers in England right now, but let's go ahead and get excited about the semi-finals now. I know we still have a game to play, whether it will be Croatia or Russia that will face England. Stu, could you just put England up against these two teams and let me know how you would line up, how they should attack these two teams?
I don't think England will change too much. I think they'll play with the same system and they'll play with virtually the same team as long as the injuries are okay. And I think Croatia, having seen them in their last game, where I don't think they played particularly well, because their wide players, Rebic down one side and Perisic down the other side, ended up being fullbacks. They were taken back by the opposition's wide players. And that could happen again, because I think the coach is fairly defensive in his understanding. So if Ashley Young starts breaking forward, Rebic will go all the way back with him. Then if Trippier takes Perisic the other way, then they're left with Mandzukic up front and their midfield players not close enough to him. So I think that England could dominate the game if that was the case.
Well, we have a quick question now before we put them up against Russia, because there is a lot of belief for England, but there's still also a lot of belief and momentum on Russia's side, even though you would still favour England if they do go up against the host. But someone's asking, Dele Alli seems to disappear at times and pop up out of nowhere, like the goal today. How important is he, or will he be in the semi-finals for you? Like you said, he probably didn't have the best of days.
Well, he hasn't had the best of tournaments.
Exactly.
I'd like to see more from Dele Alli. I'd like to see more from him throughout the season. But there was 2 or 3 times when the ball got played back to Walker, or it got played back to a midfield player, in the same position where he scored his goal. I'm saying, cross it now, because that's where Dele Alli causes so many problems. We've seen Eriksen for Tottenham. Ball comes back to Eriksen, and he, without even looking, he just bends that ball into the box, and that's where Dele Alli makes his runs. He's good in the air. He times his runs to perfection, and that was the case today. But they should have played that ball far more often than they actually did for his goal. There was times in the first half it went back to Walker, and Walker played it back out wide. It came back, and I'm screaming, cross it now, because the opposition are coming out as he's making his forward run, and he must have been frustrated, but he popped up at the right time, and it was a good header. Still had to get it right, still headed it with enough power, enough accuracy to beat the goalkeeper Olsen, who's been one of the best goalkeepers in the tournament.
Definitely, exactly, but he's no Jordan Pickford.
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment. All right, well, let's talk about now if it is Russia that managed to come out on top of Croatia and they do face England in the semi-finals. How do you, because the momentum is with Russia as well, so how do you see this lining up? How do you see England attacking them?
Again, I think they would stay with the same system. They'd stay with the same formation. I think Russia
probably won't go out and attack them.
No,
anyway.
they won't.
Exactly.
Russia will play exactly the same way. They want to defend. They've got 2 midfield players that really want to get after the ball and win the ball back. They're tigerish in midfield, but I don't know that they've got the same energy as England. They've got a back 4 that I don't think is particularly good, but they've defended quite well. So they've got the only problem that they could cause England is their right back. Who gets forward and gets into good crossing areas and gets balls into the box. And they've got a centre forward who's good in the air. But England have got big players at the back, and they're causing problems up the other end. I really can't see any way that Russia could beat England apart from refereeing decisions or having that little bit of luck. If it was down between 2 sets of players, 2 sets of tactics, I can only see one team winning.
Wow, England in a World Cup final. We'll get to that in just a bit.
If it's Russia.
If it's Russia, but Croatia will definitely be a different threat.
Yeah.
Now, we know we like to, throw certain phrases around to describe people and whatnot. And a lot of people now seem to be asking, would you class Jordan Pickford now as a world-class goalie?
No, because my definition of world-class is probably there should only be 11 world-class players in the world, because you're saying you're picking the 11 best players in the world to play in a world 11.
So who would your world-class goalie be right now? And how far would Jordan Pickford be off of?
Well, you'd still say that Courtois, De Gea, Lloris, they're still just above Jordan Pickford, because Jordan Pickford has had a decent season at Everton. He had a decent season at Sunderland. He's got to play consistently well over a long period of time to be considered world-class. He's had a great game today. It was only against Belgium 2 matches ago when people were saying he's the weak link in the England side. So the problem with World Cups, you go from one extreme to another in the space of one game. He wasn't good enough against Belgium. Suddenly, he saved a penalty, and he's England's favourite. And now we're saying he's world class. He could become world class. He's got the athleticism, he's got the technique, he's got the kicking ability, he's decent with the ball at his feet. He's a good decision maker. So he could become world class. Not yet.
Not yet. So you see, slow and steady wins the race, but so far so good for him. But just talk to me about, quickly before we wrap up, because like you said, it seems like you pretty much are favouring England to get to the final.
And that's not being biased.
No, that's not being biased.
That's just looking.
But that's what I'm saying. The momentum seems to be on the team. I mean, just what do you feel? We know the criticism that they get in the British media all over. That's nothing new to them. But this young group of lads seem to be handling it very well. There seems to be something different in the air now in this England team, Stuart. Do you find that?
Yeah, I think there wasn't the expectation when they went out there. A lot of young players coming to the fore together. There seems to be a good spirit, although spirit is only gained when you win. You know, so you then see the other side of it, where they've got good spirit when they start losing games. And England haven't lost games for quite some while. You know, they qualified with great ease. They qualified for the European Championships with great ease,
which is kind of the World Cup now as well.
Yeah, and so it's I think they've got great spirit. I think everything's going their way. The manager has stayed calm. He hasn't picked players that have been injured. He hasn't picked players on previous form. He's picked players on current form. I think he's done most things right. I'm not saying he's a great tactician. He didn't do particularly well at Middlesbrough. I was quite critical of him when he was the director of football for England, head of youth development, because I didn't think he was doing that in the right manner. But since he's been the manager of England, he's done everything right. So you can't criticise that. He's got the right people behind him. A lot of people you don't know about, but there's lots of people that have come through the FA that are doing good jobs. And they seem to have a great spirit, and they seem to know exactly what their role is in the side. So that's why England are doing well.
All right, thanks so much to Stuart Robson. We've gone over 10 minutes now, of course, but there is so much to talk about, especially about England. Even though we did make it all about England, still props to Sweden, because again, not many even picked them to qualify for this World Cup, and here they made it to the quarter-finals. So that's definitely an achievement in and of itself. Thanks so much, Stu. We'll be back soon.
I'm sure we will.
You'll probably be smiling. Who knows? It could be England in the World Cup final.
Smile?
You do smile, but, you know, not as emotional as we would
you
think. As me, exactly, of course. I'm very emotional. Anyways, to catch all of the emotions from the World Cup, make sure to keep it right here at ESPN FC, and make sure to catch our show later on the ESPN Plus app.